All right, what's up, guys? So, have you ever wondered what is a CRAID log? Well, in this video, I'm going to cover CRAID logs, project plans, and figure out how we can get our challenges, risks, assumptions, issues, and dependencies all into a log, and then how to make sure that we're able to keep those in line with the tasks of our project plan. This issue really came up from a post in the Smartsheet community from CRP 321. It brought up a really good point, a challenging question. I'm going to do the best job I can to address this issue and provide you guys some value today, so stick around. I got some good stuff to show you. We're going to cover quite a number of things. So if you like this video, like, subscribe, and let's get to it. All right, so I found this really neat problem posted to the Smartsheet community. We've got change CRAID log association to project plan task. So I'll read all this entire thing and really just try to break this thing down. There's a lot of complexity here, so I'm going to use our friend ChatGPT, copy and paste this thing in here after I'm done reading it out, so that way we're able to make better sense of really what's going on here. I think there's a lot to be said about what the functionality is here, and so we can maybe learn a little bit more by learning how it's said in different ways, and that's what AI is really great at. So I'm using changelog as an example, but applicable to other sheets. I've manually copied the project plan task ID, project plan task name, role, and assigned two fields from my project plan into the changelog. Within the changelog, I've simply made a few example requests. The relationship to any change request to the project plan creates an opportunity where multiple screens need to be open to see both the existing project plan and changelog or propose single change. This could waterfall out in other sheets such as resources, cost, etc. I'm trying to figure out how to initiate the change from a task in the project plan and have that information, project plan task ID, project plan task name, role, and assigned to carry over into the changelog, and or also be able to see any open change requests within a project's workspace. Intent is to create a project plan roll-up report and indent the risks under the associated task ID. The tasks that need a change is created from a helper column. Change request equals yes in the project plan. The project team may want to see all the tasks to understand the interdependencies or just tasks with a change, while upper management may only want to see metrics or only projects with open changes. In my example, the change around task ID 3-009 will have a situational discussion to understand additional actions that reach a resolution, which could initiate additional steps. Task ID 03-009-01, 03-009-02 as examples. What is the best approach to create this mini project changes as a child project to a task? Got it. So let's bring this over to ChatGPT after we kind of review some of these things and figure out what we can do. So here, before we go over there, we've got the project plan, change community discussion, change log community question. I can see a standard initiation planning, executing, monitor and control, closing. Definitely a PMP putting this together. That's pretty cool. We've got some real project management activities going on here. That's really neat to see in Smartsheet. Demo, project plan, task ID, project plan, task name, role, change log. Got it. Tasks at risk, change log, community questions. So that's the at risk. Okay, let's bring this over to ChatGPT so we can break out the details. First, let's talk about what is a CRAID log. So I think some of the viewers might be curious what a CRAID log is. So really, you could have a risk register, an assumptions register, issues, dependencies. It gets a little busy. You might have like 5 different sheets. And so I guess the idea behind a CRAID log is to put challenges, risks, assumptions, issues, dependencies all inside of a project. So really this, again, as the poster, the OP posted in this question, how do we get this, because these projects are based on waterfall, and really whenever you have to have a set start date, like a set schedule where you have a start date and end date, and those things are pretty locked into the schedule, you've got to make sure that you have some sort of functionality of a CRAID log. And so really, what is it? So you've got challenges, risks, assumptions, issues, dependencies. It looks like they're all in a single sort of house there. So just to sort of demystify what a CRAID log would be. So looking over at what ChatGPT said, it's actually pretty helpful. So they have a project plan and a separate change log, CRAID log. Right now, they manually copy task ID, task name, role, and assign to from the plan into the log. They want a way to start a change directly from a task and have those fields auto-populate in the change log with a clear association back to the task. They want visibility of open change requests across the project workspace and to build a roll-up report that shows risks nested under the related task, so stakeholders can see either the full dependency picture or just tasks with changes. They flagged tasks needing changes via change request equals yes, helper column, and are wondering about the best way to model a mini project under a task. So those change activities live as children of the original task. They're asking for the best approach pattern to set this up. Got it. Okay. This is making a lot more sense. So the only way to create a row inside of a sheet is through moving a row from one sheet to another, copying a row from one sheet to another, a form, populating it, or manually entering it either through a report, various other sort of interface applications through Smartsheet, an API, or just going into the sheet and typing that in. Now, in order to get the two to talk to each other so that the CRAID log automatically communicates with the project plan is often going to be through an ID. Now, I don't see where there's a task ID inside of the change log. I do see the task ID inside of the project plan. Now, a couple of things which would likely happen and would be kind of the best is if you can move or copy the task over so that it is somewhat automated. So there's that part. The other part, quite simply, is how do we get those things to talk to each other? The best way to do that is through, one, making sure that we have that task ID column in both so that we can build that association through a unique identifier so that if we need to pull change logs to their parent task or to their associated task, we can. And that way we're also able to indicate, all of the details to that task that are being registered inside of that CRAID log. So my thoughts are we could use a join collect function that is somewhat embedded in that way, that's looking for like an index sort of join collect, some sort of formula like that that's going to go into the CRAID log, find the task ID associated to it, associate and bring in all of the relevant information for each one of those CRAID items, and then we'll be able to see it. Now, I see that there's a report in there. We could definitely use tasks at risk CRAID log thing in there, but let's take some time. I'll build something out, kind of model what he has in store for us there, and we'll break this thing apart. Okay, so I have populated over here. We've got our project plan. We've got our change log. And I'll show you what I've put together here to kind of address this issue. So with the associated change request, basically what we want to be able to do, I guess in a nutshell, is be able to move the rows or copy the rows. Definitely don't move them. We want to be able to copy them from the project plan over into the change log. What that's going to do, really high level, is send the task information over to the change log and really give us a starting point for it. The way that I've done it is I programmed a automation in here. So let's say we select this over to yes and we hit save. What we'll notice is this is automatically going to assemble our change request in there. And there you have it. Okay, so that change request has been recreated. You can see it's added in there. It's doing that. I'll explain kind of what's going on through here. It's doing that through this automation. You have change request. You got a trigger. The trigger is whenever the change request column is selected to yes, it automates and copies the rows over to that change request sheet. Then let's go over and see what happened there. It's always going to show up on the bottom. So change request number 10 for task number 6 right down here. And so for activity 7, that was just moved over when I selected that to be yes. And so now that change log has been added, what we have is a little helper column. And all we've done is assembled an entire string of text so that it, one, adds the description to each one of the different items in here, and then 2, creates a new line every single time it's got it. So you've got row ID, project plan, role assigned to, etc. And then what happens is with that char 10, it's going to automatically create a new row so the text doesn't get all jumbled up. So char 10 and really this is what the formula would look like. So that's how I'm using that char 10. And then as you can see, I'm just assembling the text string just like that. So that's the formula there for the change log. Now what's happening here in the project plan is as the task moves over to the change log, it is pulling it back into the project plan and associating all of the change logs that have that task ID. So we'll go ahead and just blank this out saying there's no change request and then trigger it over again. And what you'll see is that an additional change request gets added to this task. So there you have it. You've got change request number 11, and you can just keep going on and on and on for this. Now, what you'll find is it's a little bit busy. No worries. I'm going to show you that third one. It definitely gets a little loud in here with all the different change requests being added. As you can see, it might be like 5, 10. So be tactical on how you really want to approach that. Maybe that one didn't quite pull over the way I was hoping. Let's try it again. Give it a good refresh. There we go. So now we have three of those change log requests there added. And what you can do is just kind of shrink this thing down and turn off the text wrapping and just hover over it, and you'll have somewhat of the same result. If you want to open it up a little bit, it still gives you that same result. The other thing is if you have dynamic view allows for good scrolling. Here's another answer that's really not too bad at all, is you can hide that column. And then if you go into edit, this is where it gets really cool and really helpful, is you should be able to see how that's populated there. Let's make sure we're going to a row that actually has that populated. I know that activity 7 has one. There we go. See how that puts it in really nice? It's nice and organized. You can still see it, but it tucks it out of the way. That'll work. That'll work for sure. So that's one good way to do it. I mean, there's a whole different ways. As you know, you can group it with reports, things of that nature, but that just establishes that relationship. And the fundamental key, I'll show you, is having that task ID in both locations. Now, before we close out this video, what I will show you is I'm going to unhide all of these columns. Here's a neat little tool. If you guys don't have this tool, man, and you use Smartsheet all the time, definitely get it. It's called Smartsheet Features. Go on Google, check it out. The owner of the company and I are actually connected on LinkedIn. After talking to him for a little bit, he's super personable. I really recommend you get this tool. I think it's like $10 a month or something. And it just allows you to go through and toggle different views, different things. And it's a great step in the right direction for having some pretty useful features at a pretty budget-friendly cost. So definitely check that tool out and support that company because that guy's onto some great things. Pretty cool stuff. So as you can see, I've hidden all of these columns. Now, what happens when you move or copy rows from one sheet to the other is the whole slug of rows and columns automatically get added into the sheet. And so the best way to really mitigate that is hiding it. And if you're going to use a solution that is, kind of requiring that, what I would recommend actually is that you get Smartsheet features because it gives you that nice sort of way to make sure that you're not having all of these columns. And so you could just save the view and you would call this simplified view. And then you can go through and um, get rid of like duration, predecessors. You could even get rid of the change request, percent complete. You don't need that. Start date, all of that information that's really associated to that task, where you're ending up with a bunch of redundancy stuff like schedule health. You don't need that, etc. And then once you have that, you can save that simplified view. And hit OK. And now what Smartsheet features will do is it'll save that. So then you come back in here and you hit like load view and there's your simplified view. Now if you want like expanded view, what you can do is then unhide all columns. Click that little icon there, hit OK, hit save. And now you've got two different views. So it doesn't overcrowd your sheet by any means, and you're still able to toggle between those two views. Really cool tool. Highly recommend it in this instance. And that's the critical aspect. Apparently, these are also your views, which is, again, just such a cool tool. I'm glad that little pop-up showed up there. Very useful, specifically if we're moving stuff back and forth. And the key is always the lookup value. So you've got to determine the unique value, the lookup value for your sheet. In this case, it's the task ID. And then you copy the information from your project plan over to your changelog. And there you go. So hopefully this video was really helpful to address the problem and get the Smartsheet community a little bit further ahead with their smart sheeting. So happy smart sheeting. Like and subscribe if you got some value out of this content, and stick around. We've got some more stuff for you. So happy smart sheeting.